Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the third day of games here in the GGvision Liquid Colosseum with me, Sebastian Sjoberg. Here we have our champion,
Liquid Jinro, Gladiator of the Week.
Spawning here as the blue Terran in the upper left starting position of Shakura's Plateau, the new version. His Protoss opponent and challenger today is none other than NEXTREME, a player you have seen in the GSL Code A. I can't remember on top of my head how well he did last season, but he is definitely a formidable opponent, and he, if I recall correctly, a member of the senes team, but I might be wrong about that. Nevertheless, a very strong foe who stands in Jinro's way here in this featured show match that is part of the GGvision Liquid Colosseum. Jinro, of course, has not been doing too stellarly lately, but here now, starting in August with the new GSL season, I have no doubt that he will return to full form and doing so with glory. And this series in the Liquid Colosseum is meant to show that and to celebrate that. Last game, in day 2, we saw him also fight a Protoss player on Tal'Darim Altar, and there he used a very interesting ghost-heavy strategy that did involve nukes and, again, many ghosts. So do check that out. We'll see if it goes along similar lines in this match here. It's of course a very different map. Here we see barracks going up and he will be able to wall in fully and completely. We see how NEXTREME will be scouting in the wrong way, going first to the 7 o'clock where he will find nothing. Meanwhile, gateway, gas and chrono boosting out probes, quite ordinary, quite common. We see Jinro here now checking out via the watchtower, and it seems like we're going straight towards his opponent, and only now is NEXTREME scouting northwards. So Jinro will discover that his opponent is indeed as far away as possible, and he actually manages to complete the wall in so that NEXTREME will not be able to get in, and I don't think he'll get this SCV either, because the Marine comes out and it looks like he will actually be able to kill the probe. That is first blood, and it's always a small step towards victory if you can deny scouting, kill a scouting probe while still having your own scouting SCV alive and kicking. So Jinro, now seeing the second gas and the cybernetics core on the way, knows everything he needs to know about NEXTREME's tech choices so far. Zealot being constructed first and now a Stalker to follow. So very good for Jinro, and based on this information he has chosen to go for a very quick second command center before the second barracks, so that's a very economic and safe opening, but Jinro knows he can get away with it considering that his opponent is so far away and hasn't gone for any shenanigans or anything like that. So looking good for our Swedish Gladiator of the Week, Jinro. Now we see gas going down and a second gas, yes, there it goes, second gas. So this looks like an interesting timing push, ladies and gentlemen, I must say. Now moving out with a handful of Marines and an SCV trying to poke back these Zealots to make sure that NEXTREME don't get too much of early map control. Here reinforcing his ramp with a bunker. He will soon plant his new command center there, of course, but seems like NEXTREME will want to have something to say about that, but 4 Marines in a bunker with an SCV repairing, that is simply too much. Seems like NEXTREME is gearing up to take his own expansion, so he might be slightly ahead or about the same as Jinro in getting his expansion up. Meanwhile, not too much happening. Warp gate research more than halfway done, and scouting is continuing here. Jinro now is aware of all these troop movements, but there's not too much in terms of aggression that NEXTREME is capable of. Meanwhile, we see here now a factory having been placed next to the barracks, so are we looking for a Hellion push perhaps, or could this be a quick Banshee build? We'll just have to see, but I do like it. These two double gases, they would imply that something interesting is about to happen. His orbital command is finished, and meanwhile NEXTREME is halfway done to having completed his own expansion. So Jinro should definitely plant that command center ASAP, I dare say. Meanwhile, we see now here a robotics facility going down immediately for NEXTREME before even constructing his second gateway, and this probably was a blunder, pulling up a Guardian shield just to kill an SCV. Well, things do happen. So this is a 1 gate into Robo, followed by 2 more gates. So So that's again a not very aggressive opening. Seems like NEXTREME wants that observer out as soon as possible, and then we'll just have to see if he'll transition into Colossus. But lately we've seen Protoss players being much more dependent on High Templars and gateway compositions than going full on Colossi, as was more common before. Meanwhile, we see now Jinro having started to research his siege mode on his siege tanks and building such as well. Tech lab on the way on his starport, and looking quickly at the unit stab, we see here now 1 tank, 14 marines, and 29 SCVs versus 35 probes of NEXTREME. So economy wise, Jinro is just about even with his mules, now constructing a engineering bay here, and that will also serve as a wall. Jinro being known for being a very methodical and sometimes defensive player. He knows what he's doing and doesn't want to give anything away to chance. He plays safely and securely until it's time to go berserk. And here we do have it, ladies and gentlemen, a Banshee on the way. No cloak or anything like that, just a straight up Banshee. And this might be simply for harassment or as part of a push that will come. Considering these siege tanks and these many marines, I wouldn't be surprised if he combines the Banshee attack with some sort of push. We got an observer out now, and that's exactly what NEXTREME wanted. That's why he built that early robotic facility and sacrificed a lot of early army because of it, because indeed he wants to know what's going on. And I'm not sure whether he spotted this Banshee, but soon enough he will be aware. Meanwhile, he is going for Zealot legs first at his Twilight Council, constructing 2 more gateways, putting his count to 5. Again, we have seen many Protoss players foregoing quick blink, as was more common a month ago, perhaps. Straight for Zealot legs it is instead, and instead, and also going for armor instead of early attack upgrades. We've seen a metagame shift towards that direction lately, but here we do have the push from Jinro. At the same time, a Banshee here in the back that will arrive earlier and will be able to put on some early pressure. The Banshee is completely unhindered now, warping in 2 stalkers, but the point has already been made. He has managed to lure them in here, and now this Banshee will be able to provide detection for 3 tanks and a whole gaggle of marines that will provide protection. Now they will actually siege this forge. We see now how the upgrade was cancelled, and this forge will go down, and there's very little that NEXTREME can do right now. And actually Jinro is completely aware of the counterattack coming in from the back. Meanwhile, we see how the robotics facility is indeed within tank range, I do believe. It's at least getting very low on health. Meanwhile, NEXTREME is trying to position himself to really take out this threat. Yes, the tanks are hammering the robotics facility. This is a very, very dire loss for NEXTREME. But here he does come in for the counterattack. Many Guardian Shields, too many. The Marines are here clashing with the Zealots, but the tanks are perfectly cushioned, and they do take out both the Stalker and the Sentry. And the Marines are still standing, 2 of them, with the Banshee support on top. It seems like Jinro is actually managing to take down all the Zealots. This is the last one remaining, now perishing. Meanwhile, the tanks are obliterating the Stalkers on top. The Banshee is still up in the air, and Jinro survives with 2 tanks. That, ladies and gentlemen, is how you do it. He took out a forge, a pylon, a robotic facility, delayed upgrades, and took out quite a few units. Looking quickly at the units, kill tab, we see 29 versus 22, so I guess fairly even, but still the momentum entirely in Jinro's favor. We see now how Psystorm was just completed for NEXTREME, now going for a second expansion up here. Meanwhile, Jinro planting his own, so they are neck on neck. Actually, Jinro is well ahead because his command center can start mining immediately. So our Swedish Gladiator Jinro, living, working, and competing from Korea, is looking very good indeed. Managing to escape with these tanks, now repairing them, and saturating his fresh expansion. Looking here quickly how this game will develop into the later stages, we see concussive shells, stim pack, and also combat shields being completed just before, armor upgrades, already having 1 attack upgrade. And maybe something more interesting going on. Yes, indeed, a Ghost Academy. This has been Jinro's hallmark lately, also constructing an armory. We'll see if he goes for mass ghost once again. It proved very worthwhile in sniping Templars, EMPing observers, and EMPing everything else for that matter. Jinro has truly taken up ghosts as part of the very, very foundation and structure of his army compositions, and I do like that. Starcraft 2 professionals are now getting more and more accustomed to using their caster units very aggressively, very effectively, just like HayprO did in the first Liquid Colosseum with all his infestors. And a fresh expansion going down for NEXTREME. He knows he needs to get ahead somehow, and right now Jinro is in a very defensive posture, the way Terran players do it. So he can afford perhaps to take that expansion. Jinro will not move out right now. He might go for medivac drops though. Here now we see NEXTREME continuing with his upgrades, building a new forge and having quite many gateways. Only now reconstructing his robotics facility though. That was a heartfelt loss for him indeed. And just look how encroached and fortified Jinro is here at his base complex. Tanks all over the place, cushioned against the wall with marines and planetary fortresses, and also here a wall looking very good. Jinro is looking quite formidable now. However, he has surrendered map control to NEXTREME, who's expanding all over his part of the map, and will know exactly what is going on with Jinro's troop movements. Jinro will want to reclaim that at some point, and NEXTREME has still got his observer, so he knows exactly what Jinro is doing and will be knowing when he moves out. One factory now floating away, and now we see Blink being researched here for NEXTREME. Meanwhile, level 2 armor and attack upgrades going up for Jinro's infantry. Ghosts also now in production, and it seems like he's hungry for blood. Jinro, one beautiful feedback going down, and there we see yet another one, obliterating those medivacs. There were only fresh and fully healed units underneath them, so they were full on energy and they got blasted out of the sky. Again, beautiful usage of caster units, and again, I think we've been seeing that more and more lately, how StarCraft 2 professionals have really developed that side of the whole spectrum when it comes to utilizing units to the full. Ghost energy on the way, and this factory now being landed here. Will we see it produce a Hellion perhaps? That would be neat. Yes, indeed, a Hellion on the way, but I do think that NEXTREME is more than aware and will cleanse that threat quite immediately and harshly, and now we see Jinro lifting it up, but I do think it will go down, especially since NEXTREME has Blink, so that is one small loss, but would it be nice if he got out a Hellion? That's always pesky, and now we see it burn to the ground. But here we now see NEXTREME blinking in, and had Jinro not floated his factory this way, NEXTREME would not have known about this fresh command center, so that didn't turn out too well for Jinro, though it will survive, it can get repaired. Meanwhile, we do see a bit of a clash here in the middle, and these marauders are, they won't make it out of there. We see a fresh command center being constructed here in this alcove, and 2 more barracks and a factory. Jinro is moving out and expanding indeed. Again, this being the new version of Shakuras, there's no rocks here. I prefer the older version myself. I think it had more interesting dynamics, but never mind. More gateways being constructed all over for our Protoss player NEXTREME. Again, we've seen him in the Code A of the GSL. And no further tech developments. I don't see a Dark Shrine or anything like that as of yet. And going for more observers. You can never have too much, especially not with these many ghosts who can always take care of observers quite nicely. And there we see just that, EMPing that observer, revealing it for a moment of time, and sniping Templars. And there we see the ghost sniping the observer right out of the sky once again. But we also saw a nice feedback from NEXTREME's Templars, so an eye for an eye indeed, and then more feedbacks, yet EMPs on these Templars. Just look at the reaction timing, and Psystorm, EMP, feedback all over the place. Very, very precise and delicate movements of these players. It's all about microseconds in who will get the spell off first, and now it's a game of positioning. game of cat and mouse, and a deadly dance indeed. Jinro now losing a few units, but seems like he will push back the Protoss player, and again he's got so many ghosts. A beautiful EMP once again going down. Seems like NEXTREME has a very keen eye on seeing what ghost that has enough energy in them to be killed by an EMP. But we see, feedback. But more EMPs and feedbacks are being exchanged, and this Archon doesn't look too healthy. Seems like NEXTREME with this very gateway-heavy army it might be somewhat disadvantaged, but now he's moving in. We have siege tanks up here on the high ground, clashing down, bearing down hell and fire onto these units, but Psy Storms and Blink being used to the full. But it seems like Jinro, with his massive 2-2 army with Medivacs on top, will be able to push back the Protoss, but the price is indeed dear, ladies and gentlemen. These Psy Storms are ripping apart the Marines and Marauders, but Jinro does not care. He continues to push on. He lost all the siege tanks, he lost more than half of his units, being down to 129 supply versus 170 of NEXTREME, but nevertheless he did win that battle. Free upgrades now are on the way, as well as many more ghosts. We see here how that command center that was floated from 12 o'clock was instead positioned down here, and the fresh one will be placed at the main here at the 7 o'clock. Meanwhile, we see a robotics facility going down now for NEXTREME. Seems like he does actually want Colossi after all, but this is somewhat late. His Colossus count will not be very high. Nevertheless, I think something is going on that you can follow on the picture-in-picture screen, but now we have a very big clash indeed here at Jinro's third, obliterating all the SCVs with Psy Storms. This planetary fortress is dishing out so much hurt, but it will nevertheless go down in seconds. Seems like NEXTREME is happy with that exchange and wants to extract his army ASAP. Meanwhile, we see here this drop being cleared up, actually managing to escape with 2 units. We could follow that in a picture-in-picture. And now again, the game of cat and mouse continues. We see thermal lands and shield upgrades being initiated here for NEXTREME. He's got 3 free weapons and armor already, so that puts him ahead of Jinro, who is close to finish to 2-2, but Jinro doesn't actually want to fight until that happens, ideally. Again, Jinro is below in supply, and I'm somewhat worried about him. I mean, he's got the economy on his... Actually, that's not his advantage either, but never mind that, ladies and gentlemen. There's a big battle going on, and there's AMPs and Blinks being exchanged. These ghosts are exposed, many of them being shot in the back, but still they can deliver EMPs to the Archons and the Stalkers, and these are many Medivacs. They can keep these units alive for a very long time. The Templars seem to be out of energy. One Psy Storm could obliterate everything right now, but indeed, it seems that's exactly what happened, ladies and gentlemen. Fighting valiantly, Jinro nevertheless had to concede that NEXTREME just had the bigger hammer, really. Even though he had such beautiful ghost usage, Jinro was beaten by even better use of feedback and Psy Storms. This was a very fierce game indeed, and I must say I did not expect that to end quite then and there, but Jinro knew that he was lost. 81 supply to 145. Still, he had such a good economy going, and all these bases established. This War Prism could have proven very fatal indeed, of course, but still, this was a very close battle, and I do hope you enjoyed it, and that you'll stay tuned for a new one coming out tomorrow on day 4, where Jinro will fight yet another opponent on yet a different map. I'm Sebastian Sjoberg. This has been the GGvision Liquid Colosseum. Thanks for watching. GG and out.